So Anthony, welcome and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. Start just by introducing yourself and what you do and the company you work for, and we'll kind of go from there.
Sure, sounds great. So I'm Anthony Berticelli. I'm the training director for Allegion. I cover all product training for customers in our sales organization for the United States. Allegion is a door hardware company, so we focus on pioneering safety and everything around a door. We own roughly 37 brands worldwide, including some of the big ones you may know like Schlage, Kryptonite, Von Duprin, LCN. So in reality, everything around a door. So we focus a lot on not only training installers and maintainers in the field and large commercial customers, but also our sales organization and making sure that the people who are out there representing our company know what they're talking about.
On all the products.
On all the products, that's correct. Yeah.
Big job. How long have you been using Explorance, and how does it fit into your overall ecosystem?
Yeah, great question. So we've been using Explorance as a company since 2014. Prior to us actually being Allegion, we were Ingersoll Rand at the time. I have been with the company for 2 years, and so I picked up the utilization of metrics that matter for all of our courses, which for us is pretty hefty load. We have a team of 6 trainers that are traveling and doing nothing but training. So we're running roughly 300 in-person classes a year with a head count of anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 students a year on the customer side alone. So pretty heavy usage that's grown since that 2014 time period.
So how are you using Explorance for all the different learning classes you do?
So we utilize metrics that matter as our survey tool. So every single class that we do, we give QR codes to surveys at the end of each course. So every student has the opportunity to give us feedback not only on the instructor, the content, the location, everything we do from how we do it to what we teach to their experience.
I know you've only been using Explorance for a couple years, but do you have any sense of what the company was using before and what were the challenges they had that led to Explorance?
Yeah, so prior to us using Explorance, the company was simply on the pen and paper method. And I think we know what that challenge is, particularly when you look at scale. And when you're teaching that many classes with instructors who are on the road 30 weeks out of the year, managing paper files becomes impossible. As we started to look even at the environment of remote work, getting those files into the right hands, compiling the data was something that just by nature of the way you do it became impossible to get any real data out of. To me, I think the main purpose of what we do with Explorance and MTM is really twofold. It's driving development, improving processes, but also expressing not only business objectives, but business value. And when things are handwritten, not only do they get lost in translation, but they get lost in the minutia of stacks of paper. And so it was a really easy decision to move to Explorance to streamline that process and give us usable data that could help us grow and develop as a team in our organization.
Now, I know you inherited Explorance when you came in, but what stands out for you of the MTM tool as a solution for what you need?
There's a few things that stand out to me about MTM. First and foremost, isn't the tool, it's the team. The level of support that we get on a daily, weekly, monthly basis from Explorance really sets it apart for us. There is never a question that goes unanswered, and for us, a lot of times because of the scale of what we do, we need answers quickly because they can have impact on a significant number of students. And so the support that we get is second to none. Outside of that, from the tools perspective, because of the way that we function and the amount of trainers and leaders that we have utilizing the tool for different reasons, the ability to break out data into a lot of different ways is pretty important to us, because what I look at as a director is very different than what my managers or the trainers in the field need for feedback. And so the ability to do that in a way that suits the user of the data is a really nice and effective way to utilize a single tool.
So you mentioned you're using the data in different ways for different audiences. What's maybe a success story or two of how the tool and the data has really helped you move forward as a learning organization?
Yeah, so I'll give you two examples of how it's helped us move forward. One from, I'll give you one for each of the business areas I
Sure.
talked about, right? So from a content development and a training standpoint, we were able to utilize comments and something as simple as the word cloud that MTM puts together for us. I get my team together on a biannual basis at a summit, my team of 15. And we go over what we need to work on and how we can improve and get better. And MTM is kind of the backbone of that data. And so in this particular instance, we were able to utilize the word cloud to say, what is the one thing that we can focus on from a classroom content perspective to improve the learner's environment? And what we pulled out of that was that roughly 37% of our comments said they needed more hands-on training in certain courses. And so our designers, along with our instructors, were able to go back and say, okay, if we look at these courses from A to B for an 8-hour class, where can we implement more hands-on with the product? And so we were able to do that for 3 of our busiest courses, and it significantly improved our results. From my perspective, what I was able to do with the data was turn it into what I would call a strategic business objective. That's something that doesn't impact me, that's something that impacts our leadership. Specifically turning it into key performance indices that show how we impact profitability and sales. And so by taking some of the questions that we ask and translating those into information that's useful for our sales organization, we're able to show how our classes positively impact our customers into making decisions where Allegion is the choice of product.
So it's obviously gives you good data to use with the business. Is that your ability to use that data also given you more credibility and made you a better business partner for the organization?
The data absolutely makes us a better business partner. And one thing I speak of, and I talked about it in a class I presented yesterday, it does 2 things that are really important for me as a leader. It helps to show how my team is exceptional, and it helps to show how we as a training team are indispensable. And when typically you're in the L&D side, as we know, most times in the corporate sense, we're not driving profit. We're a cost center. So if I can speak to and demonstrate in a language that makes sense to leadership to show how we're positively impacting both reputation, customers, and sales by numbers and showing actual data, it really helps to show why we are critical to the company moving forward and how we can play a role in that important aspect, which is bottom line profit.
So looking now to the future a little bit, how do you envision using Explorance in the future?
So for the future and how we use Explorance, again, a couple different ways. And one thing that I really like about Explorance is the ability to scale. And so part of what we have as a mid to long-term goal from a training perspective is to build out the scale of how we impact customer and sales in a lot of different ways. And particularly MTM is a tool that allows us to do that and not only scale in how we do it, but also report back on the success of that scalability in certain areas. And that's critical to identifying where you're successful and where you're not with real data and not making it up. I think as we look towards the future as well, tools like Millie and the ability, as we scale to a much larger scope, a 10x or 100x scope of how we impact, a tool like Millie is going to be critical to us to be able to extrapolate that data into a lot of different ways to say, how successful are we in this area, on this product, on this topic, in this conversation? And something as simple as, do we offer the right food during our training to keep people engaged in afternoon sessions? That right now, that's a pain point to be able to pull that information. But if we can incorporate tools like Millie going forward, it helps us to make those decisions quickly and effectively to continue to impact training.
Yeah, not only moving from one course to another, one program to another, but you can do it as a program is progressing. You can make changes as you go.
Exactly, and I think we all know that the speed of change in all of our environments is critical. And if you're standing still, you're dying. And so we need to stay in front of that change, and the ability to learn on a daily basis and review on a daily basis is critical for us to be able to make those changes, particularly in the safety and security industry where codes change. And something as simple as a typo on a code in a fire safety class can have a significant impact on our product and our reputation. And so being able to identify those things quickly and make those changes quickly as well will be critical to us going forward. And as you scale, that gets significantly more difficult. So having a tool to do that for us will be very important.
You touched on the importance of the Explorance support team, but can you go a little further for me and tell me if you were going to talk to a friend or a peer about Explorance, what would you say about them?
Yeah, I think the things that I would say about Explorance as a whole is in the business world, you can look at companies in two different ways. You can see them as a customer or someone who you're utilizing their services, or you can see them as a partner and someone who runs alongside of you. And Explorance has been a partner for us, particularly on the training side. Again, we have conversations on a regular basis about what we're doing, what tools we're using, how they can improve. And we have been iterative in my 2 years with the company with Explorance and the team here to on the fly say, hey, what if we change this? I can tell you the surveys that we used 2 years ago, although they're the same kind of backbone, we've changed the way we apply them over these 2 years based on working with the Explorance team to say, will this work or will it not work? Can we try it? Can we not? Let's put it in play and see what happens. And so we've really been partners, both in feedback and development of what will work best for us. And that's really what I look for in partners.
Just a couple more questions.
Sure.
One would be, any lessons learned over the course of your time in working with the tool and applying it to your work that you would like to share?
Yeah, a couple things I think that are important that I've learned about working from the tool. I'm a big Ted Lasso fan. I don't know if anyone watches that, but I said it yesterday, feedback is life. It's normally football is life, but for us, feedback is life. And MTM and Explorance allows us to utilize that feedback in a way that allows us to progress and develop and move forward. And we couldn't do that otherwise. Additionally, things change rapidly, both in the way that our learners digest information and the way that they share information with us. So being able to transition and learn quickly, adjust quickly, focus on different areas of that feedback, whether it is something as simple as a Net Promoter Score or specific comments in an area that we need in order to impact a specific class. Being able to dig deep into those things and also having that information provided to me in a way that is easy to get.
Yeah.
I was mentioning this to someone earlier. There's nothing better for me in my busy schedule than knowing on a certain day of the month reports are going to end up in my inbox, and it is all the information I need and nothing I don't, but I know where to get everything if I do need it. That adds such an expeditious nature to how I can provide that feedback to the right audiences, both internally and externally, that it becomes indispensable for me. It's a tool that I rely on, that my team relies on, and it's something that I push with them to the point where our managers are reviewing comments on classes with the trainers on a weekly basis, and they're taking notes on those things and learning from it and adapting to it. So to us, a tool like MTM and a company like Explorance is really the gasoline that we need to implement change on a quick basis to stay ahead of our competitors and be the best at what we do.
So we've covered a lot of ground. One final thing, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to maybe talk about or share?
I think the one thing that I take away, particularly from this conference, and again, something that's great about working with this company, is their vision of the future and their focus on that speed of change with us. It's a challenge, it's always a risk. But in order to help us stay where we need to go in front of the business, knowing that Explorance is doing the same thing and is kind of looking in the future and not, resting on their laurels or on the great products they have, allows us to be strategic in how we look at this partnership going forward. And that's just as important as what we're doing today, both what and how we're doing those things tomorrow. So, I would say congratulations to Explorance on that focus and being a great partner to us now and going forward.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. You've been great. Have a great rest of the conference, and safe travels home.
Awesome. Thank you, Claude. Good talking to you as well.